Conventions of a thriller are split into 8 factors. The conventions look at what makes a good thriller. Firstly, I'm going to talk about the titling. Most of the films I've studied have seemed to have their credits done over a black screen with some non-digestic music playing in the background to set the scene. It is also common for some films to start with a particular event before titles start to show. My examples include Terminator 2, The Departed and Dark Knight Rises, which all before the beginning show you a clip of what probably the movie's going to be about or what's going to happen next. Another convention of the title is that usually the most important film companies or actors in the film are shown first in the credits. Camera angles, things that seem to be quite common, or low levels of framing and the high angles at certain points. The high angles is used mainly to show those in a powerful position, but they might also be used such as in Terminator 2, with the first arrival of the Terminator shown in the background to be in control and have most of the power. There seems to be a main character or characteristics in the beginning, which seems to have the majority of power, and this is shown through the camera angles. Camera movement. Tracking and pan shots is what's commonly used in the beginning of a thriller film, particularly a certain group of people who we should be interested in as an audience. An example is the bank heist scene in The Dark Knight, where the camera tracks the group at certain points. Zooming in and out was a rarity that was only seen in Dark Knight during an action scene. Framing shots, the most typical shot used in thriller films, seems to be the close-up, greatly used in both films, Seven and Kill Bill, to build suspense and mystery in the beginning. Long shot shave also being a commonality among thriller films, being used in both Dark Knight and Terminator 2 to set the scene and show the audience where the action will be taking place in the upcoming events of the film. Mise scene. The general location used in the thriller movies I've studied depends on the story of the movie themselves, and because of what there's a lot of difference in the location. Lighting is a key aspect used in most of the films such as Terminator 2 and Kill Bill and Seven. While there are a lot of lighting used, but for different reasons. While trying to get a particular overriding tone or atmosphere for the upcoming films such as Terminator 2, using lighting with a machinery to set a sci-fi thriller theme. Editing. Jump cuts become a commonality during thriller films as they're used in 2 of my films, both Terminator and Dark Knight. This is usually because multiple things happening that they're unaware of and the audience to make assumptions on what the story or characters will be like. While the jump cuts are built up in Dark Knight and Terminator, they eventually draw to a close. However, the cutting rate seems to be a miniature climax of the introduction. So the next thriller convention we'll talk about is sound. All films analyse non-diegetic music playing in the background, creating a sound bridge to create a certain atmosphere. Even not that much, this usually gives us an insight to the character's motives or the relationship with other characters in the film. Silence and sonic exaggeration are 2 techniques used in both Dark Knight and Terminator 2. This is very thought-provoking and does well to build up tension, which seems to be a strong convention to the thriller films. The last thriller convention we'll talk about is actors' positioning and movement. The intro is our first introduction to a character or characters, so they normally tend to be in the middle of the frame. This is the case for Kill Bill and Terminator 2. Their movement, however, seems to be very dependent on the situation they're in all the time. While some, like in Terminator 2 and Dark Knight, seem to be very quite organised in what they're going to do. So their movement seems to be quite coordinated, although sometimes erratic. A character's movement usually tells us something about the person, and through the movies analysed, I can see some more frantically, while others are slow and calculated. So it seems a convention, so there are to be different groups with 2 different movement patterns. So as you can see, thriller conventions are split into 8 factors: titling, camera angles, camera movement, framing shot, mise scene, editing, sound, and the actor's positioning and movement. These are all used to create a good thriller, and without it, then you won't have a really good thriller, because, as I showed, it ranges from in so many aspects. within Terminator 2, Dark Knight Rises, Kill Bill, and they were the examples I gave, and they fitted in well with those thriller conventions. Thank you for watching my video of the thriller conventions.